that first game? How do they carry the momentum over and take care of a sweep today against North Dakota State?
Just good, focused, disciplined hitting in game number 1 today. The second time through the order against Villanova in the 3rd inning. Auburn took advantage of 2 walks and a hit batter with 2 outs. Carmen Greenwood singled in 2 runs. 2 batters later, Brittany Marisette, the designated player, took advantage of a defensive misalignment and plated 2 more. That took the cap off the Auburn offense. They scored 4 more runs the next 2 innings and finished off the game. And, Britt, they just need to keep that offensive. They look like a loose team, and they need to keep that same poise at the plate here in this game.
Well, Brittany Marisette, Carmen Greenwood, 1 RBI combined entering this tournament, now 4 after the 3rd inning against Villanova. For North Dakota State, they are coming off a tough 3-game stretch. They faced number 11 Arkansas, number 5 Washington, and Southern Illinois. They either tied or led in the 5th inning of all 3 games, Brad. They dropped all 3 of those games. How did the Bison bounce back today and come up with an upset today in Auburn?
Well, I don't think that they're going to be fazed by those last 3. This is a program that has faced big-name competition before. They're very comfortable playing teams like Auburn and Arkansas and Washington and ranked teams in February and March. And I think Coach Mueller's team is going to be poised, and they'll be ready to bounce back in a new game.
Well, they will be facing one of the best pitchers in the SEC in Michaela Martin. Martin has a dynamic drop ball. She's going to go in on the righties and away from the lefties, Brad. And for her, she's a strikeout machine. Not only that, she will draw the ground balls. What are the keys for her today against North Dakota State?
Keep the drop ball down, work ahead in the count. When she's getting strikeouts and ground balls, the San Diego senior is really rolling, and she's pitching with more confidence than she's ever had. She's the ace on this Auburn staff now, and she has relished that role.
And for North Dakota State, they will have Madison Camacho in the leadoff spot. For the Bison, Camacho is the spark plug, a .323 average. She's the team leader in hits with 10. She has good speed, and she can also score some runs. 3 runs scored, 5 runs batted in on the season. And Brad, one thing playing on the road, like playing against a team like Auburn, is sometimes an early spark can do that for you, and that's exactly what North Dakota State has at the top of their order.
And they've had a little bit of trouble scoring runs in the first inning of games. They've only scored 2 runs in the first inning of games so far this year, but they are looking for it. It's a brand new weekend for the Bison. It's a new start, and they want to make something big happen early.
And the first pitch from Michaela Martin, right down the middle, but above the belt. But Martin's numbers, Brad, impressive this season, as they've been all 3 seasons on the Plains for Martin prior, with a 0.94 ERA, 4-1, 6 appearances, 5 starts, 31 strikeouts, and opponents only hitting .200 against her.
Yeah, last year posted a sub 1.4 ERA, had her best year in an Auburn uniform. The strikeout numbers were down from her sophomore year, but the innings were down as well. Strikeouts per inning were up just a little bit, and again, just brings all kind of confidence into this season.
The bunt attempt missed by Camacho, now in the hole 1-2. Still the Auburn defense, they playing on their heels early here in the first inning, especially the infield. They have the center fielder in Morgan Padani shaded over to left center.
Camacho, a slapper-style hitter, and that's going to pull the center fielder over toward left center every time. And a left-handed hitter, it's one of the things that makes Camacho so tough. Good speed and coming from the left-handed batter's box. Now the new emphasis is you can't make contact with the foot outside the batter's box, so that's cut down a little bit on the head start, but still awfully tough to retire a lefty leadoff hitter.
Martin trying to paint that outside corner to the lefties. And again, that's where she's going to live, to the lefties, on the lower part of the outside corner. And to the righty, she'll live on the inside corner. She can go up or she can go down. 2-2, slow roller, and takes a North Dakota State roll.
Martin has a chance to break the all-time wins record at Auburn with a healthy season, and she stays on course. Kaylee Carlson broke the previous record last year, and Martin has a chance to break it all over again this year.
2-2, called strike 3, came in at the belt, and Martin sits down, the first batter of the night.
2-2 pitch after working around the knees, went up just a little bit. Camacho laid off and is retired as a result. When we talk to Michaela, as we have talked to her over the last couple of years, you really don't get the sense that she takes herself too seriously. That's not to say she doesn't take her job seriously.
Bouncer to second, McCracken to Perry, 2 down. And a look at the Auburn infield, and McCracken, one of the very talented players Auburn has, but I think you specifically, Brent, have to look at the middle with Taylon Snow and Casey McCracken. It's as good as it gets for Auburn in the middle.
No, they turned a double play against Villanova. They've turned a couple now over the last 2 weekends, and particularly Taylon Snow, Casey McCracken, Justice Perry, a lot of time together on the infield.
Sam Kane, the next batter up, as Michaela Martin throws a strike. And Brad, you were saying that Martin doesn't take herself as serious, and to me that kind of transfers over to how dominant she can be in the circle.
Yeah, and again, I want to reiterate, that doesn't mean she doesn't take her role or her job or competition. She is a fierce competitor. But when we've talked to her in the past, her sophomore year, she pitched in frigid conditions one night early in the year at Jane B. Moore Field. And I asked to see, how do you focus on doing your job when the ball is, when it's just so cold? She goes, I just didn't really notice it.
Yeah. And that's how she carries herself. And then I think it translates to when she's in trouble with runners on base, pitching out of jams. She faced a lot of jams the first weekend in Gulf Shores, and that's how she keeps herself in it. She keeps her teams in it, and she doesn't get phased.
52-mile-an-hour changeup. We saw her add that to her repertoire a little more last season. Mickey Dean likes that pitch as a part of Martin's repertoire as well. It's a good out pitch, nice change of pace.
2-2, got her chasing downstairs, and Michaela Martin ends the first with a strikeout and has a 1-2-3 inning. Tigers to bat next. North Dakota State going with a freshman righty and Paige Vargas in the circle tonight. Vargas getting her her 5th start of the season. She is 1-1 on the year. She's going to live in the mid to low 60s, Brad. But for her, the key thing is you have to throw strikes against this Auburn team. And for North Dakota State, if they do that with their pitching and hitting, they can have a chance.
Vargas, a freshman out of Mission Viejo, California, making the trek from California to Fargo, North Dakota to pitch for the Bison. Set big records in high school, once struck out 21 batters in a game, and she's out there against more top-flight competition in her freshman year.
And for the Auburn Tigers, batting order will be very similar to what the Tigers have fielded so far this season. Taylon Snow, though, Brad, the table setter to lead off this Auburn lineup, and her stats alone this year speak for themselves. .436 batting average, and picked up another base hit earlier today against Villanova.
Better than a hit and a half per game for both Snow and McCracken, the top two in the lineup.
Snow, the lefty, taking a first pitch strike to start us off in the bottom of the first. And she's facing a pitcher in Paige Vargas that throws a little bit of everything, and she has the tools to be successful. The coaches, though, are working with her on mastering 2 or 3 pitches, get really good at 2 or 3, and then trying to implement a few more into the repertoire.
Boy, that had some very quick, late movement in on Snow, who was able to fight it off. Watch this ball break sharply there at the last instant. We saw the first time through the order against Villanova, Auburn sort of gathered information on the pitcher.
Bouncing ball left side. It'll be to Camp to first, and got her by a step. Nice play.
It's not to say you don't want every at-bat to be productive. Obviously, if Auburn could score 5 runs in the first inning, they would want to do that, but be gathering information and make adjustments.
Infield for North Dakota State. Solid middle infield. Montana DeCamp, Zoe Stavro. 2 players leading the charge defensively for North Dakota State. And as Casey McCracken, as Brad mentioned a few moments ago, the spark plug that she is for Auburn. .515 batting average, and against Villanova today was 1 for 2, but had 2 walks, 2 runs batted in.
Her last 2 at-bats, one was a ground out to second base with a runner at third and less than 2 outs. So she was trying to hit it to the right side of the infield, sacrificed the out for the run. And, I mean, you see just phenomenal numbers to start the year. She delivered the final RBI of the first game today.
Nice pitch by Vargas coming in on the hands, getting a called strike. Interested to see how Auburn responds to Vargas versus how they started against Villanova. It took Auburn a time around in the order to get adjusted, but once they were adjusted, there was no looking back. Two one. Outside, McCracken took it where it was pitched. But again, a lot of spin on this ball, and so far, Snow or McCracken, Brent, hasn't been able to square one up.
And that's impressive. Again, the freshman comes in, and she's had the late tailing movement with good velocity. Something the Auburn hitters are trying to adjust to on the fly here early in this game.
Bouncing ball to third. Nice snag by Kane. And takes care of business at first base.
2 opportunities for the left side of this Bison infield. And Kane with the backhand stop. And the near perfect throw over to first. It's a fundamentally sound team out of Fargo.
Well, and this Auburn program ran into North Dakota State a couple years back, about 5 years ago, 2014 regional in Minneapolis. And for Auburn, they were stunned by North Dakota State. It was a 2-3 matchup in the Minnesota regional. Auburn lost that game, I believe it was 5-2. And Auburn was taken to the elimination bracket before going back and defeating North Dakota State 2 games later. 0-1 to Tannen Snow was popped up, foul territory, and catcher Maddie Hansen makes the catch over Sam Kane, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. At the end of 1, we are scoreless on the Plains. Michaela Martin, 2 strikeouts in the first inning for Auburn. Brad Law, they were successful against right-handers and lefties in the first inning of North Dakota State.
Yeah, Britt, the book on Michaela Martin working outside to lefties. That's strike 3 to Madison Camacho, a leadoff hitter, hitting from the left side. And then out number 3 in the first, Sam Kane, hitting from the right side. Martin went down and in with the drop ball. We've seen it. And Martin worked that game plan to perfection in inning number 1.
Michaela Martin now 33 strikeouts already in her senior season in 30 2/3 innings pitched. And what's amazing is only 22 hits this season with not many runs given up. And those hits, you're lucky if you get an extra base hit with a defense behind her.
297 strikeouts in her career.
Well, and right now she is battling with her former teammate and Kaylee Carlson with career ERAs. As Carlson, she set the record last year at Auburn. As Martin, her ERA tied at 1.61 with her former teammate, and that's just one of many records that those two control in the Auburn history books. Kara Beatty, the designated player today. And Beatty won, she's an Iowa State transfer. 7 hits this season, and 6 of her 7 hits have gone for extra bases. Something to note, she has power.
And now she's got a hitter's count as well.
That's one thing Michaela Martin hasn't had much trouble of all season is working behind hitters. She's going to work ahead. She's only walked 3 and only hit 1. Comes inside underneath the hands, and Brett, that's such a tough pitch to hit.
That's what makes it such a good location at 3-1. A lot of ways you can get in trouble as a pitcher on 3-1. Coming in under the hands, it looks so good coming up there. Beatty not able to lay off.
First full count of the day for Martin. And it's tipped foul. If Kendall Veach, if she's able to hold on to that one, would have been strike 3. Now the question is, Brad, do you go down and in again? She did last time.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, she's gone there 2 times in a row. To come back and fill up the count, I mean, it works. It's like Novocaine. It works every time.
Goes off speed. It just missed the outside corner. And the first base runner aboard for North Dakota State and Kara Beatty.
And credit Beatty for being able to lay off of that pitch. She draws her second walk of the season. Just a little low.
Credit to Beatty for hanging off that pitch, because that changeup, a pitch that Martin has developed recently, doesn't throw it often though.
Working back inside again to another right-handed hitter in Hanson. We'll see if North Dakota State does any running here. They're 9 of 10 on the base paths trying to steal so far this season.
Beatty's 1 for 1.
Get a look at Perry creeping in from first.
Popped up, foul territory, diving stop. An effort by Tannen Snow. Had to avoid the collision with Kendall Veach. Everybody shakes it off with a smile on their face and will walk back. Almost a dangerous play.
Yeah, very close, but there you see the awareness of Veach. The senior, a veteran player, knew the angle she needed to take to avoid a collision. Yeah. That's a really heads-up play by Veach, and tremendous effort by Snow going after it.
Oh-2 got her swinging, chased one low and in. And the third strikeouts of 4 outs today for Michaela Martin.
Now batting the shortstop, number 19.
Yeah, just the motion is so tough. It's so tough to lay off of, because when it leaves Martin's hand, that's the instant that as a hitter you have to try and evaluate what the pitch is, how it's moving, if it's going to be hittable. And out of the hand, it looks so good.
Montana DeCamp, the next batter up for North Dakota State. And bottom part of this order, hitting in the 200s, but at times all have contributed as DeCamp 1 homer, 2 runs batted in on the season. And one thing, too, about North Dakota State, you look at DeCamp, she's a junior. North Dakota State with a lot of upperclassmen on this team, and you know, not being able to practice outside and going through some adversity last weekend. Coach Mueller says, hey, they are not panicking, North Dakota State. They know what it takes. This is a senior class and an upper class that has won since day one of this program. And again, they went on the road last year, took down number 10 LSU in Baton Rouge.
A couple of years ago when these seniors were freshmen, they went to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama there.
Swing and a miss. Runner goes. The tag from McCracken. And Kendall Veach throws out her first base runner of the year.
Kendall Veach showing out defensively here in the top of the second inning. Senior to senior making the connection. Pitch was fast and in a good spot to be able to come up throwing. Just a strike down to second base.
Bouncing ball to third. Backhand Snow. Throw to Perry. Inning over. 1-2-3 for Michaela Martin. We head to the bottom of the second. Still looking for our first hit in Auburn, Alabama. Bottom of the second, day one of the Tiger Invitational. It is number 21 Auburn against North Dakota State. Scoreless in the bottom of the second. And this North Dakota State team comes to the Plains with a great resume for a head coach. And Darren Mueller, in his 18th season on campus at North Dakota State, they've had 30-plus wins in 10 of the last 11 seasons, not to mention what they've been able to do in the postseason. 9 Summit League tournament championships in 5 straight seasons with at least 1 win in the NCAA regional. And last year, they even knocked off an SEC team, Brad, in Mississippi State out in Tucson, Arizona. This team, they are not afraid of anybody that they face between the lines.
No, Coach Mueller has built a culture in Fargo with this program, and they will go and face big-name competition in February and in early March with the idea that, well, these are the same venues in which they're going to be in May when it comes time for regionals.
Well, and what's so impressive with it is what they're able to do year in and year out in the Summit League. I mean, they have taken over that conference, and they've owned it. I mean, it is theirs for the taking year in and year out.
10-3 in the league a season ago, 11-7, 17-0 before that.
And Alyssa Rivera launches this one to right field, and the Auburn Tigers are on the board in the second. Rivera launches her 4th homer of the season. It's 1-0 Auburn.
That is the 3rd home run allowed by Vargas in 22 innings this season. Rivera had a big day against UAB Sunday, and she keeps the home run barrage going. Auburn against Villanova scored 8 runs on 8 hits without the benefit of a home run, but there's the home run trot from the most often dancing Alyssa Rivera to cap the home run trot.
Make it home run number 19 of the season for the Orange and Blue. More home run power coming to the plate. Here's Kendall Veach. Veach had a good throw in the top half of this inning, Brad. And for her, I thought what a momentum booster behind the plate, throwing out her first runner of the year because she's playing a position this year. She didn't play every day of the year last year with Courtney Shea and even Carly Wallace in her freshman and sophomore seasons behind the plate.
Yeah, she's always had the ability, and the coaches have talked about how she could catch if necessary. And, well, there was some thought this year with Auburn bringing in a couple of freshmen at the position. Would she play third? Could she play first? But more often than not, she's been behind the plate, and she's done a nice job.
Well, and Auburn, of course, this year, too, they're down a catcher is Amy Tischer. She's missing the season due to an injury that occurred in the fall. So, yeah, for Auburn, it's really come down to 2 so far this season with Veach and Haley Nealon. Veach with a hitter's count. And takes 4 straight.
Yeah, Vargas a little bit gun-shy, I think, there, Britt, after giving up the home run to Rivera on 3-0. Hansen set up inside, and the outfield shifted a couple of steps over to left, which would indicate that they were trying to pitch inside to Veach on 3-0, and instead Vargas missed way outside.
Well, you got to remember, Vargas making no excuses, but she's just learning how to pitch in these environments. Only a freshman getting thrown into the fire tonight in an SEC stadium against an SEC opponent. Had a great first inning, went 1-2-3, but one mistake pitch against Rivera made it a 1-0 game. And now she's thrown her first strike in 4 pitches.
She's responded nicely now ahead in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. The weather in Auburn today a little different than the weather in Fargo. We were overhearing a conversation before tournament play started as they were checking the bats earlier with someone with the North Dakota State program, and they said, well, what was the temperature when you left home? And she said, well, it was warm. How warm? 20.
Runner goes, and Kendall Veach has a stolen base. her second of the season. Yeah, 20 degrees warm for Fargo, North Dakota.
Auburn is going to run. Auburn is going to challenge the opposing catcher, and Auburn's going to do it 1 through 9 in the order. There is not one player that starts for Auburn on a consistent basis that you could say with any certainty, yeah, they're probably not going to run here.
Auburn now 21 for 24 on stolen bases this year, with 3 today, 2 against Villanova, 1 here against North Dakota State.
Well, Tannen Snow, the only player in the lineup that doesn't have a stolen base this season.
Well, to Tannen's credit, that's not her game. That's not what Auburn needs her to do.
Nope.
But for Auburn, when you combine the stolen bases with the way Auburn has been producing at the plate, it can put a lot of pressure on teams, especially when you get into bigger, more important games down the road in the season.
Talked in the first game today about the weighted ball program, and so we won't go into it again in great detail here, but the results of the program are players go to the plate feeling stronger. They feel stronger. They feel more confident. When you feel that way, more often than not, you're going to play like it.
1-2. Denied by Greenwood. It's a 2-2 count, but yeah, you look at everybody in Auburn's lineup, even Justice Perry, first baseman. And she'll tell you she doesn't have the most speed, but already she is 2 for 3 on the season, stolen bases. And Auburn now 6 players with 2 or more stolen bases on the year. And Vargas with a nice pitch inside to Greenwood and records her first strikeout of the night. A nice response by the freshman after starting the inning, giving up a solo shot and a walk.
Yeah, that was a good at bat by Greenwood, a good battle. But Vargas, to her credit, won it. So credit the freshman for digging in and getting the better of the Auburn hitter.
Now it's Justice Perry to the plate for Auburn. Second game in a row, batting in the 7th spot of the order. She went 1 for 2 today, 2 runs scored, 1 RBI, 1 walk. Good numbers in her first game, dropping down a spot.
Vargas starts her with a strike and now is going to get a visit in the circle from Hansen. But one of the things Coach Mueller wants to see, whether it's his freshman right-hander or any pitcher on his roster, you got to get out in front of the count. You got to start with strikes. And that's going to be the biggest key to Vargas continuing to get opportunities and innings this year, is pitching ahead in the count.
For the most part in this game, Vargas has stayed ahead. But these Auburn players, these Auburn hitters, they're a bit more patient than the average player that I'm sure Vargas has seen in her career. Again, she's been limited to action thus far as a freshman, but that experience is going to grow, and she's going to learn how to pitch to really good hitters. Perry lifts one to straightaway center field. Easy play to Katie Schultz, and she'll make the catch for the second out, which adds to my next point. And that's what Coach Mueller was telling us this week, that, hey, yeah, we lost a couple of tough ones last week against Arkansas, Washington. But, hey, our players are playing against really good players. Our pitchers are going to play or face better hitters, and our hitters are going to face better pitching than what we will see week in and week out.
Another first pitch strike to Morissette, who's now started 3 of the last 4 games as a designated player. Good numbers offensively to start the season.
Got that average up to 417, and 2 of those RBIs came earlier today against Villanova.
She's behind in the count here. She'll have to expand her strike zone a little bit. I think it's interesting to look at the North Dakota State defensive alignment. Against Villanova earlier, they were playing her as a slapper, center fielder over in left center, left fielder near the line. This is a straightaway alignment that you see in the outfield.
Vargas goes off the plate, not by much. Demara said she legged down a triple in that first game. And I wonder, Brad, hey, maybe it's a scouting report here. Did North Dakota State, did they see that play? They were at the ballpark within plenty of time to see it. And these teams not having much time to do much scouting this part of the year, playing in tournaments. It's a changeup off speed. Stavro plays the routine grounder to first, and the inning comes to a close. Alyssa Rivera breaks the ice. A solo shot to right. It is 1-0 Auburn.
No.
Back in Auburn, Alabama, is Auburn and North Dakota State. 1-0. Tigers lead it. But North Dakota State, they are not afraid to play nationally ranked opponents. They've taken down at least one ranked opponent in each of the last 7 seasons. So far this season, they are 0-2. But one thing about North Dakota State, Brad, they don't shy away of who they play. They don't shy away from the schedule. They don't shy away from the competition between the lines. And it's shown in their history with their success of their program.
2013 at Georgia, 3-0. At Nebraska the same year, 13-0. They've won. And it's a lot of ats on that list, too. They're going into the opposing ballparks and winning. 3 years ago at Alabama. 2 years ago, they beat Oklahoma in Norman. That was the Sooners team that went on to win the national championship. Again, the thought is you play them now, ready your team for that level of competition. It prepares you for Summit League play, and then it's also when regionals come around, it's not the first time that you're seeing that level of an opponent.
Zoe Stavro will lead off the inning for the Bison. 7-8-9 due up here in the top of the third. Little success at the plate so far, but Stavro lines one deep down the right field line with a first base hit of the game for North Dakota State.
Good piece of hitting out of Stavro.
Now batting number 17, first baseman.
Inside, Stavro anticipated it, pulled the hands in, and the ball just sneaks inside the foul line.
Well, and prior to that hit, I was going to say little success on the day for North Dakota State. One base runner with a walk, and she was thrown out trying to steal by Kendall Veach. It has been all Michaela Martin laying down a bunt. Caught it in foul territory was Kendall Veach, and Anderson has to come back.
Obviously, Darren Mueller believes runs at a premium today, trying to play a little small ball, move the runner over.
Yeah, because he knows who he's facing tonight in pitcher Michaela Martin. You look at her ERA, and you look at even on off days when she gives up runs. Here's a bunt is fair. Snow to first. McCracken covers off the bag. Everybody's safe.
We'll try to get another look there, but not a lot of arguing coming from the Auburn players. Snow jumped on it, got there in plenty of time. McCracken, very, very close, but not able to keep the foot on the bag till the ball got there.
Well, and when that left leg came up, I think that's what the umpire saw. She may have squeaked it across a hair, but I don't think she had control when she did touch it. And that'll be the first error of the ball game for Auburn. It's first and second, nobody out. The tying run on second for North Dakota State. And it's the 9-batter and Katie Schultz. Schultz appears she might lay one down, but pulls it back.
It's the 15th error of the season committed by Auburn in game number 12.
Well, and every time you talk to Coach Dean, he says, hey, well, what do you got to clean up? What do you want to work on? It's defense, 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 because, and he emphasizes that because he knows, hey, late in the season, you know, one mistake, it's all it can cost you. It's all it takes.
Well, good teams in the SEC and like North Dakota State generally make you pay for extra outs and free bases.
Hitters count for Katie Schultz. She has a lot of speed. Center fielder for North Dakota State. And that's how the coaches want to use her on the base paths. Miss bunt attempt. Martin will work the count back full.
These are situations that all teams practice every time out. Auburn defensively, the players right now have to be thinking, if it comes to me, where do I go? If it comes to me quickly, can I go to third to get the lead runner? Am I just trying to turn two?
Bouncing ball left side. Snow falls to her knees, dives to the bag, and gets the lead runner. Nice play. Taylon Snow on the left side for Auburn.
I don't know how many times they practice the Army crawl to third base, though. Get a load of this. Snow with the diving stop and just crawls. All out hustle for the shortstop.
And you see Martin, the reaction, loves the effort from her teammates.
I love that.
Two California natives.
She said.
And the first pitch to Madison Camacho is down and away. And for Taylon Snow, the Brett, a lot of upside there. They knew coming in with her as a shortstop, and Auburn's taking advantage of her talents from day one.
How many times have you written 6 unassisted in your scoreboard?
I was just about to ask you that. Taylon Snow checks runner to second, instead throws to first. Perry was a little late, but did beat the runner to the bag. And Stavros up to third, and Anderson advances to second.
With 2 outs, that is number 12. Stephanie Sorrell.
And Justice Perry was in to field the ball, and so she had a long way to go back to the bag. Snow, to her credit, didn't rush the throw. She allowed Perry time to get to first base and then make the throw.
And I misspoke. It's Anderson to third, Schultz to second with 2 outs. Stephanie Soria chases the first pitch drop. It's 0-1.
No panic in Michaela Martin or this Auburn team after the leadoff single and the error. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Again, taking a 5,000-foot view as Coach Mueller has a conversation here with Soriano. Taking the 5,000-foot view, get 1 out at a time, and now Auburn has put itself into position to get out of the inning unscathed.
Big for Martin here because, again, with the team you're playing here.
Yeah. I wonder if they wouldn't try to squeeze here.
Bouncing ball short. Taylon Snow throws back across the body. 1 run comes across the score, and Snow, she kind of got tangled up with Schultz, who was running to third, and North Dakota State ties it up.
And I wonder if Snow could have tagged Schultz as she went by, perhaps. Yeah, she may have been able to, and as she goes back and looks at that later, she will say, I should have tagged her.
Yeah, I thought the same thing on the call. Was she going to extend the glove? Here's another slow roller. Taylon Snow to Perry, inning over. But North Dakota State play a little small ball. Use the defense to your advantage, and they tie it up at 1. Coming up, we'll talk with head coach Darren Mueller of North Dakota State. Stay tuned. More after this. Welcome you back to Auburn, Alabama. It's Auburn and North Dakota State, day 1 of the Tiger Invitational. Joined now by North Dakota State head coach Darren Mueller. And Coach Mueller, your team battling here in the 3rd inning. You scrimp across 1 run to tie it up 1 apiece. What's it like to see your team come back and battle after some close games last weekend?
Yeah, it's good to see. You know, we did a lot of that last weekend. We seemed to kind of fall behind at times, but just been battling back. So I was just proud of them to come back that last inning.
Coach, tell us about what you've seen so far from Paige Vargas. She's gone out, gave up just the home run ball, but a strikeout, and she's getting ground balls. Thoughts on your pitchers so far?
Yeah, done a nice job staying composed. We talked about that this past week, just, as being a freshman pitcher and getting a big situation like, a good team like Auburn. And just want to see her composure and how she responded after that. And I thought, the next batter, I know she walked, but after that, she did a nice job.
Coach, appreciate the time. Best of luck tonight.
All right, thank you very much.
North Dakota State head coach Darren Mueller, and well, what a program he has up in Fargo, North Dakota. And his team tied at 1 with Auburn in the bottom of the third. Auburn comes to the plate with 9-1-2. Due up here in the bottom of the third is Morgan Padani to lead it off. And Padani, Brad, one of those players in the bottom of the order that has a lot of upside offensively. Hitting .280 right now, but just how patient she is at the plate and also her ability to base run. I mean, she's one of the better base runners on the team.
Well, we talked about this defensively last game, but she has a very high softball IQ. She understands the game. She knows what to look for situationally at the plate and has good instincts defensively as well.
One of those players, good instincts in the locker room and the dugout as well. Good composure, Padani. And laces one past the pitcher in Vargas. And she starts off the inning with a leadoff single.
Morgan Padani, that's one Vargas could hear sail by. Solid swing. You can see level arms on the swing. Watched it in and then watched it exit. Powerful swing from Morgan Padani.
So a runner on for the top of the order. Morgan Padani doing her job at the bottom. And it's back to the top for Snow, McCracken, and Tannen Snow. Vargas working up on Talon. As Talon, she bounced out her first appearance.
And you always got to watch the base runners. Wouldn't be surprised. And you know now that North Dakota State is very aware of Auburn on the base path. Still wouldn't be surprised to see Padani running here early in the inning.
1-0. Again, Snow, she flinched at that first pitch. Very similar location. Pulled the trigger here. But you mentioned Padani possibly running. Team leader, 4 for 4 in stolen bases. One. The flip to first is Stavro, and that's enough to move Padani up a base. And Vargas will trade it for the out. It's one down.
At the very least, Snow knew that she wanted to move the runner over, and that's what she did. She's out, but now a runner in scoring position with fewer than 2 outs for the home run power in the lineup to come to the plate.
Casey McCracken, the team leader in home runs. She has 5.
She needs a base hit here, Britt, or else the average is going to dip below 500 for the year.
Tough numbers right there, huh?
Uh-huh.
And McCracken, she has been so comfortable at the plate all season. Is one of those players that has just embraced the final ride of her senior season. McCracken 1 for 2 against Villanova. 2 walks, 2 runs batted in. And she's a spark. She has the powerful bat, but also her speed is a little deceptive. She can move around the bases as good as anybody.
And McCracken entered the weekend 5th in the country in total bases, tied for 9th with Talon Snow. 4 hits. That's not in the SEC. That's in the entire country.
Yeah, those hits coming in, 2nd in the SEC as well. One-two, got a pitch inside and pulled it. Padani Wade told the score. The throw from Camacho is late, and the Tigers take the lead.
Britt, that is a sensational throw by Camacho. That play was made a lot closer than anybody thought by the Bison left fielder. Terrific throw, but the speed of Morgan Padani on display. What a strike. And Padani, because the throw was high, able to slide in underneath it.
A great throw from Camacho. You couldn't have asked for a better throw from the left fielder. But talking about Padani, we mentioned it before. Her speed is an asset for Auburn on the bases. And Auburn needed every bit of her speed there, and it's enough for a 2-1 Auburn lead. Here's a bouncer from Tannen Snow to Camp to first. And it's 2 down. McCracken will go to third.
McCracken with RBIs now in both games today, and she reclaims the team lead from Kendall Veach and runs batted in with 13.
And now it's back to Alyssa Rivera, the player who put Auburn on the board last inning with a leadoff home run. Hit her 4th of the season, her 10th RBI. And that put the batting average up above 400 at 406. And for Rivera, take a look at this launch. One of those, you just knew it off the bat. And had the dance to back it up.
She broke into the starting lineup midway through her freshman year. Defensively, she made all-star highlight catches.
What, twice? In the same weekend?
In the same weekend in Athens, Georgia 2 years ago, and has never released her grip on the starting spot in right field.
Well, because coming in, we kept hearing how talented she was, and didn't have many chances to display that talent. It was Rivera until that weekend.
Look out.
Sends a hot shot over to wake her teammates up. Didn't want everybody to get too comfortable in that Auburn dugout.
Woke up the head coach a little bit too, I think.
I'm sure coaching third in collegiate softball, you get woken up a lot.
Head on a swivel.
Vargas ahead 0-2. Tries to paint the corner, just missed.
They worked away from Rivera, not wanting to make a mistake on the inside third of the plate. A little too far away on the 0-2, and Rivera stayed at home.
Bouncing ball, it'll get through. A 2-out RBI single for Rivera. And the junior keeps it going, her 2nd RBI of the night.
Well, a really good hitter, a well-rounded hitter, is able to recognize how she's being pitched and go with it, use it to her advantage. They went on the outside edge again, and Rivera has the ability to go the other way with the ball. She's had a lot of hits in her career, bouncing it through the hole and into left field, and that's how she did it that time.
That's as good a job of hitting as you can see tonight for Auburn. I mean, a 1-2 count, runner at third, 2 outs, finding a way to drive in a run. And she kept it simple. Rivera takes off to second. She has a stolen base. And the second base umpire, he gave North Dakota State a break there as the throw went behind the fielder.
Yeah, were it not for that.
Yeah, it goes in the outfield.
Yeah, Rivera winds up at third on the play. You get a look right off the knee.
Well, and for the record there, the umpire's part of the field.
Yep.
Umpire's part of the field.
And the SEC experimenting with a 4-person umpiring crew for Auburn's games here this weekend at the Tiger Invitational, something they will implement for the SEC tournament this year in College Station.
And Brad, refresh my memory, this does occur in baseball.
Yes.
Correct?
That was a change made a couple of years ago and making its way to softball.
2-0 strike on the inside corner. Well, and it's the little things that can improve the game. I think that the way softball is growing in popularity, I think the players and coaches, they've earned the right to kind of make the game as evenly called as possible. Not that it wasn't before, but you have an extra set of eyes on every base. It helps. Great changeup there from Paige Vargas.
Boy, it is not very often that you see Veach that far out in front. But that one brought her down to a knee. Look at a second angle, and just looks out toward Vargas. Wow.
Tip your cap sometimes, right?
Yep.
2-2. Liner. Snow cold catch. Sam Kane. And the Auburn gets out of the inning with 2 more runs. A great night for softball in the loveliest village on the plains. Auburn leading North Dakota State 3-1 on a very warm night on the plains. But in the NCAA, there are still 10 teams that remain undefeated. 4 teams, each from the SEC and ACC. Florida State, of course, they remain number 1 in the top 25, as deserved. 3 wins versus the top 25 just last week. And, of course, the SEC and Pac-12 takeover in the top 10. SEC was 7 teams to the Pac-12 with 3 teams. And the SEC and the Pac-12, Brad, they're going to collide next week in Fullerton, California. Auburn heads to the Judy Garman Classic. Tigers will take on Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. The Florida Gators will also be out west representing the SEC in that tournament.
This is the time of year. I mean, softball, as you mentioned, the popularity of the sport across the country is at an all-time high. And, I mean, we talk about so many players from California being on these rosters. And, it used to be the Pac-12 and everybody else, and there was a big divide. That's not the case anymore.
Well, and for Auburn and UCLA, there's a little history there. For Auburn and UCLA, the Tigers and Bruins have faced each other twice in the Women's College World Series. Auburn and Washington faced each other just a couple years ago in Mexico. Washington won a pitcher's duel in that matchup. And then, of course, Auburn and Oregon, they faced each other last about 5 years ago in Orlando down at one of the Disney tournaments where Oregon won a close game there. So these are teams the program has seen before, but not many players on these rosters have seen these teams. And Kara Beatty works the count 3-0, and Martin sneaks one on the inside corner for a strike.
After getting 2 runs in the bottom of the third, Mickey Dean really needs Michaela Martin to go out, throw strikes, and he would like to see a 1-2-3 inning here in the top of the 4th.
3-1. Martin goes with that high drop. And Beatty walks for the second time tonight. She led off the second inning with a walk and was thrown out attempting to steal a base.
This North Dakota State team also gets a little taste of the Pac-12 next week. They go out to Stanford for the Stanford University tournament. They'll get the Cardinal a couple of times. They'll get Northwestern out there as well.
Here's a bunt from Hansen. Martin comes over, makes the catch. McCracken covers first for the out, and that's a sac bunt for Hansen to move Beatty up.
That ball almost popped out of McCracken's glove at first base.
Number 19, Montana, DeCamp.
Well, and even so,
Martin on the throw. Very near little snow cone job there at the end.
Well, and I was worried about Martin fielding that ball because Tannen Snow, of course, came over from third. I was wondering, hey, who was going to get to it?
And they bumped slightly.
Yeah. Montana DeCamp 0 for 1 on the night. Being aggressive on the first pitch with a tying run at the plate here in the top of the 4th. Been a good ball game so far. But the drop ball of Michaela Martin still reigns supreme over North Dakota State. Because the 1 run that North Dakota State got in the 3rd inning, I don't think the ball ever left the infield that inning. And the 0-2 chased one low, and Michaela Martin has another strikeout. That's number 4.
That one never got above the knees. And DeCamp never really had a chance. 3 pitches and she's out. There are a lot of really quality pitchers in the SEC, as there are every year. You think Kelly Barnhill at Florida, Mary Half at Arkansas. Michaela Martin right there with them.
Tannen Snow ends the inning with a routine ground ball, and Michaela Martin has a walk, nothing else going. Tigers lead at 3-1. 3-1 Auburn in the bottom of the fourth inning. Tigers have a close lead over North Dakota State, joined now by Tigers head coach Mickey Dean. And Coach Dean, go with your ace pitcher tonight in Michaela Martin, facing a very good team out of North Dakota State. How do you like the way your senior ace has thrown through the first 3 innings?
She's doing a nice job. And for the most part, she's working ahead. That's the only time she really gets in trouble. The one inning she gave up the base hit down the line, and then we had some miscommunication on defense, but we got out of there with not giving up a crooked number.
Coach, your team really hitting the ball solidly right now. Alyssa Rivera with a home run, an RBI single. You're doing it with the long ball and station to station. Just talk about your approach at the plate.
Just staying ourselves, not try to do too much, stay through the ball, hit it hard, and, just take control of your at-bat.
Coach, appreciate the time. Best of luck in this one.
War Eagle. Thank you.
Tigers head coach Mickey Dean is his team again swinging the bats well today against Villanova and North Dakota State. Is again doing a little bit of everything, Brad, as you mentioned, hitting a couple home runs, but also moving runners when they need to. And leading off the inning is Carmen Greenwood.
And that was a big cut out of the Auburn left fielder.
Well, in Greenwood, she's back. She's getting adjusted this season. I mean, this is a part of the season where she needs as many at-bats as possible. The redshirt sophomore missed last season with a shoulder injury after getting some significant playing time 2 years ago as a freshman.
No, and I've been impressed with her ability to, defensively, she's been out there. She started the majority of the games in left field this year. Mickey Dean really wanted to give a lot of players an opportunity in left and in center field this season. She's been able to grab onto left field and play it well and do enough at the plate as well, although Vargas won that head-to-head battle.
Paige Vargas with a great pitch at the knees, and Vargas with her second strikeout of the night.
Yep, they've both been Greenwood. That time Carmen just could not pull the trigger on a well-located pitch.
Well, and I think Vargas, she goes back, she looks at the pitch charts in the dugout. She knows what was successful last time against Greenwood. Credit to her, took 3 pitches. And for Auburn, it's Justice Perry to the plate. Perry with a strong average her junior season out of Prior Lake, Minnesota. And if you'll notice about Perry, one thing I find interesting, one of the few players that doesn't wear a mask on the helmet. And Vargas will miss 2-0.
Oh, both parents have a background in law enforcement. She is did a study abroad in Spain a couple of summers ago. Very well-rounded, became nearly fluent in Spanish for that trip.
2-0, a called strike.
And I think she was going to take until Vargas threw one in the strike zone. Good power, and she's become a more disciplined hitter this season. She was more strikeout prone last year and in her freshman year. Never been any question about her power potential.
This one to the right side, stay on the edge of the infield, and Stavro makes the catch. Almost came out of the glove, but held on to it. Well, with Perry, it's like any player. Confidence has to be there, and Coach Dean says, hey, this is one that the confidence has improved and is translated onto the field in the play. But for Paige Vargas and Zoe Stavro, they are playing with confidence right now for North Dakota State. 2 up, 2 down here in the fourth. And as Brittany Marisette, hard grounder, Stavro to a knee, inning over. A quick inning for Paige Vargas. Through 4, it is Auburn 3, North Dakota State 1 in Auburn. 3-1 Auburn in the top of the 5th. And for North Dakota State, the 5th inning has been a key mark for the Bison the last 3 games. They either tied or led Arkansas, Washington, and Southern Illinois. And Brad Law, I think playing those teams and playing teams like Auburn, trying to find ways to close games out. That's what North Dakota State is working on here early this part of the season, and not just them, every team in college softball right now.
No, and I think that was a big inning for Paige Vargas and the Bison team to retire Auburn 1-2-3 in the bottom half of the fourth after surrendering a tie score in the bottom of the third and then threatening but not scoring in the top half of the fourth. They're hoping that gives them a little momentum that carries into this top half of the fifth.
Well, Vanessa Anderson will lead off the inning, the first baseman for North Dakota State, second team All-Summit League last year. And swinging away, first pitch had the green lights after had a bunt in the first inning. And the throw pulled McCracken off the bag and eventually came around. She was the lone run of the game tonight for North Dakota State.
Good swing.
Good swing, just a tad out in front, but more velocity on the ball behind that second swing. Last season, you see why she was second team All-Summit League. 8 homers, 31 runs batted in. Good power potential. Still looking for that first home run this year. Changeup goes opposite field, carrying back to the wall. It'll drop. And that is a leadoff stand-up double for Vanessa Anderson, her third extra base hit of the year.
Martin worked low and over the middle of the plate, more so than she usually likes to work. And credit Anderson, you see the power in the swing to be able to go get one that was about shin high and send it to the base of the wall out in right center field.
And that's the spark that North Dakota State's wanting here in the top of the fifth. Runner on second with nobody out is Scholes to the plate, and then it's 1-2-3. With Camacho, Soria, and Kane.
North Dakota State spends the majority of every season on the road. You can't play a lot in Fargo until you get a little later in the year. And so, again, it's a seasoned, experienced team with a lot of time on the road playing in hostile environments or neutral sites by the time their conference season rolls around. They don't play their first conference home game or their first home game period until April 13th.
Wow.
And only 9 games total at home this year before the conference tournament, which is in Fargo.
Second pitch. Schultz takes for a strike, 0-2. And just imagine that. And, being in the South, teams so often take facilities and weather, just the little things for granted because, doing interviews with coaches this week, all 3 said they were getting snow at some point in the week.
And it's turned into an April day and evening here in Auburn.
But here's the impressive part. North Dakota State does not use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
They don't use it. It's a non-factor.
No, they say, all right, so we'll travel and we'll win.
1-2, big strikeout for Michaela Martin. Answers the bell after a leadoff double.
Martin has been in warm to hot water every inning after the first. She retired the side in order in the first. It's the only inning in which she's been able to do that conventionally. Got some help on a double play in the second, but the leadoff hitter has been aboard in each of the last 4 innings for North Dakota State. Only one time after an error were they able to capitalize.
Sticking to her plan, going away to the lefty to Camacho. Camacho, solid hitter, hasn't been successful, though, against Michaela Martin. 0 for 2 with a strikeout looking and a ground out. Ooh, that one goes, I think it caught the top of the foot of Kendall Veach.
She's trying to smile that one away. You grit your teeth and let's see exactly where it caught her. Yep, right on the top of the foot. That hurts.
Well, and one thing I commend when this happens, the home plate umpire, He knew that was painful. He took a slow walk out to the pitcher, see how Michaela Martin's night was going, and just to give the catcher a moment to breathe. And it's funny, though, because when it happens to the umpire, you notice the catcher do the same thing. A little mutual respect with the people having to wear the gear behind the plate. It's a tough job for both.
Everybody's out there on the same field trying to accomplish the same thing. Sometimes you see them dust off a perfectly clean home plate.
Not an easy job, and again, they'll leave the game with a few marks. I'm sure more times than not. Well, Michaela Martin, though, she's bouncing back, Brad, after, again, North Dakota State putting a little pressure on this inning, but she's staying ahead, sticking to the plan.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see her continue to work low and away here to Camacho.
2-2 on the ground. Tannen Snow throws back to second, and it was a line drive caught. Snow trying to take it to second for the double play. Heads-up play by the third baseman, but Anderson's back in with a hair in front.
And Mickey Dean is asking the umpires to get together and confer. He's going to ask if anybody maybe had a better angle. We'll give you folks watching a better angle, at least a slower one. That's close.
That is close.
See if we have a better view from this. And ball got there a little early. Michaela Martin sure thought that it was the third out. And she's disappointed that it's not.
And they'll call her out.
And it is after all. All right. Well, that's going to... Coach Mueller now is going to ask for the official, the veteran head coach of the Bison. He wants the official explanation from the crew chief.
And for Coach Mueller's credit, he saw it from third base, so I think he's just asking for an explanation from all three. He knew it was close, and credit to him, he's being composed because it was a close bang-bang play at second. And that's a tough call to make live.
Well, and I think his argument is that the umpire was right on top of the play and looking at it from behind the bag. And we'll take one more look.
Well, and I'll say this. Umpire was in position, but it's also easy to be an umpire behind a screen as well.
With slow motion.
With slow motion. With the great work of our camera crew tonight. It is 3-1 Auburn, double play. Tannen Snow for the Tigers. Auburn to bat next with a 2-run lead. A lot of news and headlines from around the SEC. The Florida Gators, number 3 in the country. They remain unbeaten after taking down Jacksonville 12-0. Texas A&M, after a great season last year, graduated several seniors. They're in a rebuilding year. They've lost 3 out of their last 5. And for the SEC, dominating in the top 25. 5 teams in the top 10, and that's one thing that's just not going to change in the Southeastern Conference. Brad, when you look at this conference, top to bottom, 1 to 13, all 13 teams have the capability of making the NCAA tournament.
Every single game, once next month rolls around and conference games start, is a playoff atmosphere. They're all so critical.
Morgan Padani leading off the inning, and I think it's to Auburn's credit getting North Dakota State down to Auburn for this tournament this weekend, Brad, because you talk about every game being critical. Well, North Dakota State is the type of team that SEC teams can see in the NCAA tournament. Auburn's seen them before. Mississippi State saw them last year and lost a game to North Dakota State.
Reminds me an awful lot of, well, Mickey Dean's James Madison teams. He brought his bunch in here a couple of years ago and managed to split with Auburn. You're exactly right. These are the teams that can manage 3 seeds, as high as a 3 seed in regionals. Bison are comfortable. That's the expectation now. The expectation in this North Dakota State program is to win the conference, go to a regional, and cause some real problems in that regional.
One-two change called strike 3. Vargas has the changeup working tonight.
Yep, but Danny knew it too. Just a smile on her face, nothing that she could do. Changeup buckled her knees a little, and credit Vargas for a good pitch. And that's 5 in a row retired now by the Bison freshman.
That'll bring the top of the order back up for Auburn. Yeah, last runner to reach base for Auburn, Alyssa Rivera, in the 4th spot of the order. And Coach Mueller will come out and have a word. And now the question is, how long can Vargas go against this Auburn lineup? I mean, you look at what she's done tonight. The strike ball ratio impressive. 43 strikes, only 20 balls tonight, 63 pitches. I mean, for the most part, she's been in control. Auburn has just had some good hitting, piecing together some at-bats.
63 pitches, not an alarming number, especially to be in the 5th inning of a game. I think maybe what Coach Mueller went out and they discussed, not only with Vargas, but as an infield defensively. Now you're going into the 3rd time through this Auburn order. They've only been able to manage 4 hits against her the first 2 times through. So do they adjust? Do they adjust the pitch count and how they try to attack the Auburn hitters and show them something different the 3rd time through?
Liner left side over the glove of Kane, and Taylon Snow with her first base hit of the ball game.
Snow came in with 17 hits, had been shut out her first couple of times, but a little inside-out swing. And she was able to serve it up into left.
Snow adds another hit to her resume. Team lead, 18 hits. Or excuse me, tied for the team lead with 18 with McCracken. McCracken singled her last at bat in the 3rd, and that is who is coming to the plate with 1 out. Vargas working low and away to the right-handers. And I've been impressed with how Vargas, again, only a freshman, how composed she has been tonight in the circle for North Dakota State.
Good command. Very early on, a lot of velocity and some late movement.
And the changeup.
And now we've seen as she has gone a little deeper into the game, that movement has gone away. A little of the velocity is gone, and we're seeing her go to the changeup and the off-speed stuff a little more often. But she's still being effective with it.
One away. Hansen. She almost offered it down to first base. Just trying to keep the runners in check. Taylon Snow this year, if you're curious, 2 for 3 on stolen bases. Nice pitch. Came into the mid-60s. A lot of movement.
Big cut by McCracken, but that's well placed. If she had made contact, I don't know that it would have been straight. Good pitch on the outside corner.
Cutting across that outside corner and cutting away from McCracken, making it almost impossible to put into fair play. Trying to go for the chase there was Vargas, but McCracken did not offer. A chess match here between Vargas and McCracken. Payoff pitch. Inside, and the throw to second won't matter.
She beat the throw anyway.
So a single and a walk. Top of the lineup doing a little damage here in the bottom of the 5th for Auburn. With 2 outs to work with, Taylon Snow is due at the plate, and Alyssa Rivera is on deck. Rivera already with 2 RBIs tonight, and Tannen Snow, she's been an RBI machine this year as well. 4 home runs, 8 runs batted in. Looking for her first hit against North Dakota State.
And she went hitless against Villanova, so she's looking for her first hit of the day here at Jane B. Moore Field.
Bouncing ball to second. Stavro flips to second for 1, and that's all North Dakota will get. Taylon Snow at third, and Tannen Snow is at first. 2 outs in the inning.
Stavro reacted quickly, had to move to her right. Little wrist flip. Close play at second base, but DeCamp able to get to the bag in time. Credit Stavro. That's not as easy a play as it looks. Moving to her right, reaching down to make the backhand stop.
The last time Alyssa Rivera was at the plate, 2 outs, a runner on third. It resulted in an RBI single. Same result here. A 2-out RBI single for Rivera, her second of the night and her third RBI of the night.
The ability to hit with 2 outs, so critical when you're facing good competition. Second time tonight that Rivera goes to left field. And I don't think she could have picked the ball up and thrown it to a more perfect spot just beyond the reach of DeCamp out in shallow left field.
Yeah, Rivera both times got a pitch on the outer half part of the plate and doing a nice job of going opposite field, because a lot of people, when they see Rivera and see her swing, they state, hey, it's either straightaway center or she's pulling it to the right side. Not the case tonight.
She becomes a really difficult hitter to face because now there's no safe zone. You certainly can't pitch her inside because she'll turn on it and send it out of the ballpark.
Right.
So if you now work exclusively away, she has enough discipline to be able to go to left field with it.
Tigers will have Rachel Cook on the pinch run. Kendall Veach trying to clear the bases with 1 swing.
Not kidding. Was releasing a little frustration from the ball that was fouled off the top of her foot earlier.
Yeah, she'll have a mark, I'm sure, left on that one. But to Veach's credit, she has the home run power. With 4 this year and 12 runs batted in. Launches one deep to left. Will it stay fair? And it takes a Bison turn.
Goodness. My goodness. That ball hasn't come down yet, I don't think.
It's what Veach balls do, they say. Popular term around Jane B. Moore Field with Kendall Veach.
Whoever came up with that's a genius.
Yeah, you think?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little too much credit there, you think? 0-2, changeup got her. And the Tigers leave 2 on. Paige Vargas pitches out of a jam. The changeup working well tonight for the freshman. Tigers on top, though, 4-1 over North Dakota State. Michaela Martin has been in command tonight. 5 strikeouts in the circle for Auburn. And she's doing it with runners on base. Only 1-1-2-3 inning tonight. She surrendered 3 North Dakota State hits. But Brad, that has not phased her. And the senior well in command with 6 outs to play.
What's been impressive to me, Britt, is that the last 4 innings, North Dakota State has put the leadoff hitter on base. And Martin has not flinched. She's gone back to work in the 3rd inning when North Dakota State got its run. There was a leadoff single and then an error. So there were 2 on and nobody out. Now, eventually the run did come around to score, the runner that reached on the error, so it's an unearned run, but still no flinching in the senior from San Diego. She just stays cool, calm, and collected.
Martin back to work. She'll face 2, 3, and 4, Soria, Kane, and Beatty. Soria had the RBI single in the 3rd inning tonight, her 2nd RBI of the year, and 1 of 3 hits tonight for North Dakota State. But as Auburn, facing Vargas the third time around through the order, this is North Dakota State's third time around against Michaela Martin. So how did the Bison adjust?
Well, you could see this time through, at least Soriano is taking lower swings. They bend their knees a little bit more and swing just a little bit lower, trying to adjust to the height or lack thereof of the ball as it comes in off of Martin.
Well, and for Martin, she is not changing her philosophy tonight. She's sticking to low and away to the lefties and staying low and in on the righties. Just a little high with that one.
That's by design, though. She's ahead in the count of all 0-2. And that's not even so much to see if Soriano will chase. It's just to set up, to give her a look.
Goes away with a pitch to waste. Just a 2-2 count. Well, with a 3-run lead, nobody out here, top of the 6th. She's going to pitch away. And Coach Dean calling the pitches tonight. They aren't going to give the meat of this order any good pitches to hit. And the changeup. It was tipped into the glove for Kendall Veach. Good enough for the 6th strikeout tonight for Martin.
So the drop is so effective as a strikeout pitch. That may be the first time tonight Martin used the changeup to get strike number 3. Just as effective at 49 miles an hour.
And she's one, she can go from 70 to 49 from pitch to pitch. Just amazing to have the command in behind both.
I think if you're an Auburn fan watching tonight, you have to be excited too offensively. Auburn hasn't put a crooked number up on the scoreboard tonight, 4 runs on 6 hits, but the way that they've gone about their work offensively, after North Dakota State tied it with a run in the top of the 3rd, Auburn answered with 2 to reclaim the lead, and then another insurance run last inning.
Took a little more off that pitch, 0-2, and just goes to show you, Brad, how hard it is to adjust from a pitch of 68 to 70, from about 49 to 52. Sped her up, 69 miles per hour. Back-to-back strikeouts here in the top of the 6th. That's number 7.
And that's a maestro doing the conducting there. Michaela Martin did anything she wanted on those 3 pitches to Kane. She had a plan. She changed her speed. She changed her location. And that's a pretty strikeout for the senior right-hander.
2 outs, base is empty for Beatty, who's walked twice tonight. And Beatty won, I think Auburn's. They pitched carefully tonight. Again, 6 of 7 hits this season have gone for extra bases. Bouncing ball to short. Snow to first. 1-2-3 inning for Michaela Martin and the Auburn Tigers. Auburn heads to the bottom of the 6th looking for a little insurance. 4-1, Tigers on top. 3rd inning, the difference maker for Auburn with a runner on second. Casey McCracken laces an RBI single. Morgan Padani gets under the tag. Then with 2 outs, Alyssa Rivera bounces one through the left side, scoring McCracken from 3rd. Station to station hitting the difference for the orange and blue. And Auburn has extended the lead with one more 2-out RBI single with a runner on 3rd from Rivera. And the Tigers lead it 4-1. And not to mention, Brad, Rivera had a solo shot in the 2nd inning. She has 3 of the 4 Auburn RBIs tonight.
Yeah, home run for Rivera in the 2nd on a pitch inside. And so then Vargas compensated for that, overcompensated by working away the next 2 at-bats. Rivera sent those into left field for RBIs. Big night. Rivera drives in 3 of Auburn's 4 runs.
Bree Fornes will lead off the inning for Carmen Greenwood. Fornes, liner on the first pitch, right to the glove of Stavro. Talk about perfect place, perfect time. This one down.
Number 18, Justice Perry.
Yeah, I like the approach by Fornes. She's gone up there, aggressive, trying to make something happen. As we've seen now, Auburn for 3 games in a row with a lead going into the final couple of innings. Mickey Dean substituting at a couple of different positions, both in left field and behind the plate.
And it's a type of games, time of the year, you want to do that. And I think you'll see it from a lot of teams in this tournament because, a lot of these teams, they have to know, hey, who can you count on if a player goes down or someone's struggling? Have to mix up the lineups from time to time because, there's a thing about baseball and softball. Hey, you go through highs and lows.
It's a long season.
Long season, play a lot of games. A lot of things can happen.
And he's got a lot of talented players, Mickey Dean does, on this Auburn roster, and he cross-trains players at positions he does not like. If you try to pin him down on describing a player, can she do this or that?
Right.
He really doesn't like to put players in boxes. And so players can play multiple positions. He doesn't necessarily lock in or like to lock in on one starter at a position. He likes to see when the players come to the ballpark that day, who's ready to go, who's locked in.
Well, and that's what look at Kendall Veach, for example, behind the plate this year. She's played at the corners for 90% of her career or more.
Yep.
All right, Auburn in need of a catcher this year. Senior year, hey, she steps up in that role. All right, McCracken can play any position. Talon and Tannen Snow. Tannen Snow can play the corners. You got McKenna Dowell, of course, coming off the bench that can do the same. Perry jammed on the pinch, carrying shallow left field. Camacho uses the wheels to get there. It's 2 outs.
Really impressed with Camacho. Not only is she a good hitter at the top of the order who's just had a quiet day today against Michaela Martin, but defensively we saw her with a laser throw from left earlier in the game, and there the speed, the recognition, she's able to come in and make that running catch from left.
2 outs, that'll bring up Brittany Marissette, the DP. Marissette offers on the first pitch. Marissette with 2 groundouts tonight, both to second. But boy, she had a good game against Villanova today. She went 2 for 3, 2 runs batted in.
And she has changed the way teams will play her this year as a result.
Yeah, we mentioned this if you're joining us for the second time today against Villanova, is she has the potential to be in this starting lineup every single day with her bats. And for Marissette this season is simple. It's getting the reps and executing in those reps to lock down a starting lineup spot. Bouncer to short. DeCamp stays down on the hop, and it is a 1-2-3 inning. We head to the 7th. 3 outs stands between Auburn and another win. Tigers on top 4-1 over top of the 7th. 3 outs away for the Auburn Tigers as they lead North Dakota State 4-1. But one thing about North Dakota State, they have the resume backing them up against top 25 teams. They have defeated at least one nationally ranked opponent each of the last 7 years, but they're 0-2 this season, and they have another shot at the Auburn Tigers this weekend if they can't get the job done tonight. But doesn't matter with North Dakota State. If they continue to develop, they will see other ranked teams later on in the season, because this team, they will make the NCAA tournament if they keep improving. They have the coaching, they have the experience to get there.
I'm impressed to see this team in person. It's very surprising that they've lost 4 games on the season. They're a fundamentally sound team defensively. Haven't been able to get the offense going today against Michaela Martin, but she does that to most opponents.
Bouncing ball, Hanson, Tannen Snow corrals to Perry. It's 1 down, 2 outs away.
North Dakota State playing its first of 2 games here today as part of the Tiger Invitational. They will turn around and 30 minutes after this one take on Troy, which defeated Eastern Illinois earlier today.
That'll be a good matchup because when Coach Mueller was talking about this tournament with us this week, he mentioned Troy by name, just talking about the amount of teams with good quality programs that you'll see this weekend in the Tiger Invitational.
Auburn, meanwhile, will get Eastern Illinois for the first time tomorrow at 2 o'clock Central before the rematch with North Dakota State at 4:30.
1-0 pitch, and it jams the camp. I think it fouled off the handle. The camp tonight 0 for 2. Or excuse me, Julia Luciano, third baseman rather. And second pitch is a strike. As Luciano pinch hitting.
How many times have we seen Michaela Martin in her Auburn career with a lead in late innings, just comfortable as can be?
And the 1-2 comes off the shin.
So much for that. Maybe too comfortable.
Second hit batter of the year for Martin.
What is that smart? That's one that's sore. It's more sore 3 hours from now than it is right now.
So Luciano, after being hit, that was her first at bat of the season, by the way. DeCamp comes back on the pinch run. And will re-enter defensively if there's a bottom half.
Martin going to try to get a ground ball out of Stavro here.
Auburn with one double play today. One would be ideal here for the Tigers. Stavro, one of the 3 hits. It was a leadoff single in the third. .0 bouncing ball down the line, fair ball. Rounding third is the camp, though she'll hold. And a 1-out single moves up the camp to second. Stavro with her second hit.
And brings a potential tying run to the plate in the form of Vanessa Anderson, North Dakota State. Trying to hang around and make things really uncomfortable for Auburn.
Anderson, bouncer to third. Snow takes care of one, throws to first for 2, in and out of the glove on the stretch for Perry. And the Tigers are an out away.
Well, you see the strength behind this throw. I wasn't sure this was going to be this close of a play, but Snow able to get so much behind it. And if Perry is able, and that was a really tough ask of Justice Perry at first base, the ball right at dirt level.
If you ask Perry, I'm sure she'll say, I should have had it. And that's just the competitiveness, I think, out of the first baseman. Only because she made a great stretch play today against Villanova.
Well, now with 2 outs, what Michaela Martin will do is try not to think at all about the runners on base, but just try to go after Schultz here and get the 3rd out.
Taylin Snow to first, and she's safe. Infield base hit, Katie Schultz.
Yeah, she hit that ball just softly enough to use the speed to her advantage. If she is a right-handed hitter, she's out. But coming out of the batter's box, left side, running start, Snow did all that she could. Schultz just had too much speed.
Yep, beat her by a step, clearly. And Schultz executes. So now Martin, you got to go back to work. And it's to the top of the order. Bases juice, bottom of the order did their job as Madison Camacho in the leadoff spot. She's a slapper.
What actually works into Auburn's favor here with the bases loaded is that there is a force at any base.
With 2 outs. And Martin gets a strike back on Camacho. Camacho hit into a double play her last at bat.
I think as you're out and about on your Saturday, you're going to want to tune in to find out what happens in the rematch of this game tomorrow.
1-1, swung on and missed. And Michaela Martin and the Auburn Tigers are a strike away. Yeah, it'll be pretty good because I have a feeling Auburn will see KK Letty tomorrow, the ace pitcher for North Dakota State. Michaela Martin for the win. In the air, down the left field line, drifting back is Fornes. And the Auburn Tigers defeat North Dakota State 4-1. And Auburn improves to 9-3. Brad Law, the third inning today was the inning for Auburn offensively. Auburn's had the pitching, they had the defense, but the third inning proved to be the difference maker in both wins for Auburn today.
Yeah, after North Dakota State tied the game in the top of the third on an unearned run, the Auburn offense answered in the bottom half of the third. RBI singles from Casey McCracken and